Queen Diva, thank you, sister. She sent me the transcript testimony. I had it, but she sent it. I got it again. Oh, I ain't have all this. I don't know if y'all want me to go through all this. Do y'all want me to go through all this? Do y'all want me to go through the testimony? This is the testimony of the girl that was in the sex tape. Do y'all want me to go through this whole thing? It's a lot. I mean, I did start early. The media isn't reporting it. Y'all want me to do this? Oh, y'all. I love y'all, so I'm going to do this. Only because of Queen Diva. It's your fault. But I appreciate you, Queen Diva. Okay. Oh God, y'all. Y'all better get some popcorn. Y'all gonna need it. Y'all better get y'all blunts, y'all drinks, y'all joints, whatever you do. This is gonna be Queen Diva done sent me day 1 and 2. Much love to her. Okay. Y'all gonna mess with my emotions today, boy. Woo, boy. Y'all ready for this? We back at the R. Kelly trial, y'all. This time in Chicago. I didn't plan to go this far into this, Queen Diva, but you are, at your request, we're gonna go through this whole thing. Let me get me a drink. Is it Sparkles a victim? How is Sparkle a victim? Somebody says Sparkle is a victim. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna read all these transcripts. I mean, for the girl that was in the sex video, the alleged girl that's in the P video, whatever y'all call it, we're gonna go through all her testimony. All right. Give me a second. I need to make me a beverage.
Oh yeah, my man had to come through and make sure it went through. Y'all niggas is in trouble. Choke no joke, I ain't no joke, the mixtape. We here now, you already know. Let's go. Choke chillin', got away from them billin'. Ain't shit really changed though, I'm still that villain. I'm making money with rhyme, fuck black on black crime. Beef and money don't mix, like Muslims and swine. I'm talking milk, penicillin, y'all be illin'. Y'all be thinking y'all killers, with your school face grillin'. Kick that bullshit to me, y'all be wet though like Bruce Lee. And Brandon and Hearst on the highway to heaven. Man, you making mad threats and stuck in one section. I'm OBP like Naughty, making connections. Talking under your breath, get you something you don't need. 2 fully loaded Macs, filled up with heat. Nigga, you sweeter than 30 days for a body. Pop shit to these niggas, see me walk by me. But I ain't looking for no beef, I don't eat bologna. But I bring your whole cow. If you run up on me, shiesty. Try me and hype me to peel your wig back like 10 cent icy. Bring it, stop bluffing, I got your threats, they mean nothing. I respond like Bond, I come through on bombing. Playing bodegas, flipping Montega. You tan in the Jacks, I tan in Jamaica. Faker, wouldn't bust if he raped ya. Your chick out blazed her, hit it like Jada. While you blew up a pager, had to breathe like Vader. Your star at war, with the lightsaber. I'm here to lyrically tear your red, nigga, you a spear. I jack you up, now you out of here. Throw me on the 600. Now fuck your nigga Hummin', blowing down 8th Ave with a bad bitch blunted. I take it there. Y'all niggas don't want it. Y'all niggas don't want it. Y'all niggas don't want it with no joke. Who you thought it be? Represent the NYC. Bring it on if you niggas want some of me. Have y'all niggas feeling it like Jay-Z. No joke. Who you thought it be? Represent the NYC. Bring it on if you niggas want some of me. Bronx King like the LORD-FINE-SC. And that bullshit y'all do, y'all niggas don't stress me. Oh yeah, and you already know, Eden War what it is.
Choke no joke, we back. We are live and direct. Whew. We're gonna get into this here. Just so that y'all know that which one is it? Which one's the first one? 700. 600. All right, y'all. As y'all can see here, here are the transcripts. And that's all the information. All right. So let me okay here. Proceedings head into open court. The jury's out. The juries are all here, and they're lining up, so they'll be in a minute or two. So come to order. I think for the first order is Ms. Bonjean will cross-examine Mr. Everett. I don't know who Mr. Everett is. Mr. Brinley, Judge, I'm going to cross-examine Mr. Everett first today. Judge, okay. Mr. Julian. Wait, let me see. Mr. Julian is on. All right, so Mr. Julian is Jason Julian, who's for the plaintiff, the DA, the prosecutor side, and all those on the plaintiff side is Janice Williams Apenting, Miss Elizabeth Rose Pizzello, Mr. Jason A. Julian, Mr. Brian Williamson. All right, that's everybody on the plaintiff side. And on our Kelly defense team is Jennifer Bonjean, Ashley Blair Cohen, Diane O'Connell. All right, so so the judge is here, and I think the first order is Mrs. Bonjean will cross-examine Mr. Everett. Mr. Brindley, Judge, I'm going to cross-examine Mr. Everett first today. Oh, so the prosecutor is going to go before Jennifer Bonjean. Okay. Your Honor, this is Jason Julian. Before the jurors come in, there was one thing that I wanted to discuss with you, and it's just a follow-up to what I mentioned yesterday about the comments and the opening statement. Now I have the benefit of the transcript, and so me and Ms. Bonjean conferred. I don't think that she intended anything bad by this. In fact, she told me that she meant for the jurors to perhaps, if they are going to go on social media, that it will be after the trial, so not during the trial. Wait a minute. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Julian. So what we heard yesterday during the opening statement was something about the jurors going on social media. What I'm saying is me and Mrs. Bonjean spoke, and what she meant by that was that after the trial had concluded, go on social media. But the way it came out, and I'll just read you the transcript, Ms. Bonjean said, you know, I should point out that Mr. Kelly, I'm not going here to defend his moral character or defend his sexual proclivities when it comes to the amount of partners he has or anything of that nature. Okay. And when you go back to the jury room, eventually you're not going to be asked to decide whether he is a good person or a bad person. Okay. That's for social media. You can hold those thoughts, and that's something that you can maybe communicate there. So what I'm asking of Your Honor is just to admonish the jurors that they are not to go on social media during the trial. They are not to communicate anything about the trial. The judge, I will do it again after this session. Thank you, Your Honor. I have, and I will occasionally do that. But I did tell them off the bat that they are to stay off social media. And Mrs. Bonjean, and Your Honor, for the record, I have no objection to that. But as you can see from my own words, I was pointing out the exact opposite. Like the jury, the courtroom is not for this. You can hold your thoughts if you want to. Judge, I didn't even pick that up. So, okay, Mrs. Bonjean says. Judge, I doubt if the jurors did either. But obviously, I told them not to. So I don't think that they would take that as an invitation to disobey what the judge told them to do. So, Mrs. Apenting, Your Honor, we just have two But I will periodically advise them, instruct them again, and just in case somebody decides maybe to do that. Your Honor, I have one issue, Judge, if I may. Excuse me, you want to go first? Mr. Penting, just briefly, we have two issues. Number one, and I talked to the defense counsel about this before this morning. We anticipate that some witnesses today will ID or be asked to be ID the defendants. Given the COVID procedures that are in place, everyone has got masks. The government will ask prior to the witness looking around the room if Your Honor will ask everyone in the courtroom to remove their mask. Is that acceptable to the court? If it's acceptable to everyone else, just don't breathe on each other. They still tripping about this COVID shit in the courtroom. Oh my God. We will try not to do that, says Ms. Apething. Judge, we don't want to lose anybody. Thank you, Your Honor. The other issue is regarding sketch artists. There will be a victim witness testifying today. And our motions in Lamy, which you granted, there was a note about having the sketch artist anonymize or not sketch the victim witness. And so today we are asking before that, at the beginning of the day, I appreciate that the sketch artists are likely in the room right now to be admonished if they are going to sketch the victim witnesses, that they anonymize the face and hair. Judge, all right, I will instruct the sketch artist, if you wish to sketch these minor witnesses, that you are, that you obliterate their face like they do on television, okay? Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, I had one issue. If I may, yes, go ahead. I talked to the government, and I just want to remind the court that some of their witnesses I would be calling in my case. So I'm going to do a cross, and then I'm going to go into some open-ended questions. Instead of recalling retired Officer Everett, I'll be asking him questions. Is that acceptable? I hope that we would do that. So to move the case along, so you don't have to recall witnesses, so that the parties, the defendants in this case, would be able to go beyond the direct examination to complete the testimony of the particular witness. Does the government object to that? No. We discussed it. That's acceptable, Your Honor. Fine. Ms. Judge, I'm also going to very briefly talk to one of the CPD officers, I guess that's Chicago Police Department, Officer Everett, and then one federal agent about the process of discovery and disclosure. Not for the purpose of suggesting that the government hasn't given us something. I understand that, and I'm not going into that. It's just to briefly educate the jurors about how the defense learns about the evidence in the case. As long as you don't indicate that there was any violation of discovery, you can do that, presumably as long as it's relevant, you know. Anything else? That's it. Thanks, Judge. All right. See if they're ready. Jury comes in. Please be seated. Detective Everett may resume the stand for cross-examination. Just to remind the jurors, Detective Everett from the Chicago Police Department, retired, was subject to direct examination last night, and that's where we will pick up with the cross-examination with Attorney Brindley on behalf of Mr. McDavid. Mr. Brindley, it's a little anticlimactic. Yeah. Detective Everett, you're still under oath. Do you understand that, sir? Yes. You may remove your mask. You may question the witness. Thank you, Your Honor. So Daniel Everett, government witness, previously sworn in his cross-examination by Mr. Brindley. Detective, now you said that back in 2002, you received a VHS cassette from Jim Derogatis, whatever his name is, Jim Derogatis. Is that right? Yes, it is. Derogatis is some kind of a reporter, or he was anyway, from the Chicago Sun-Times. Is that right? That's correct. Okay, so in 2002, some 20 years ago, approximately, you watched that VHS video, right? Yes, I did. Okay, now you testified yesterday that Monday, this week, Monday, August 15th, 2022, you watched a video that the government provided, right? Yes. Okay. Now, you said that the video you saw yesterday, you recognize the content as being the same as what you had seen 20 years ago. Is that right? Yes, it is. Okay. Now, we just established, and I just want to be clear, that you got from Derogatis was actually a physical cassette tape, right? It was a DHS tape. Yeah. No. What you got from Jim Derogatis himself, a VHS, you mean, right? Yeah, a VHS. Oh, okay. So you got a VHS video cassette tape from Jim Derogatis, and it had to be put in a VCR in a recorder to watch it, right? Yes. What you watch with the government on Monday, and then again on Tuesday, Monday and Wednesday, was a disc, right? Yes, it was. So what you was shown yesterday in court was a disc, right? Yes, it was not a VHS cassette, was it? No, it wasn't. Okay. And do you know specifically when the disc you saw this week was made? Do you? No, I don't. Oh, okay. And did you not ever get the opportunity to watch the disc that you were provided and then watch the VHS cassette and a VCR to determine if they were indeed exactly the same? Did you? No, I didn't. Okay. And so you don't know if there's a difference in terms of the exact amount of time between the disc you were shown and the VHS video cassette that came from Jim Derogatis, correct? I'm not sure I understand your question. Well, there's a time duration for each video. The tape that you got back 20 years ago and the disc that you saw this time, right? Yes. Okay. And you didn't have an exact running time from the VHS Derogatis video. You didn't have a running time memorized for 20 years, did you? No. Okay. So then when you watch the disc, you don't know if the running time on the disc is exactly same as the running time on the VHS cassette, correct? I'm not sure what you mean by running time. the amount of time it takes, the exact amount of time to watch the video, the number of seconds and minutes. Oh, okay. I do not know exactly. No. Okay. And you don't know whether there are any differences in pixelation, for example, the number of pixels in the video on the disc you received, and the VHS tape from Derogators. You don't know if there are a difference like that, do you? No, I don't. You don't know if there are a difference in resolution between the disc you received and what you saw on the Derogator tapes, do you? No, I don't. You don't know if the video disc that you were shown now was enhanced in any way from whatever videotape you saw from Derogators 20 years ago, do you? It did not appear to be, but no. Technically, you do not know, right? No. And you don't know the disc that you got. You don't know how many times the content on that disc had been copied and recopied before you saw it, did you? No, I don't. Okay. And so you don't know if there's any differences between the electronic content on the disc you saw this week and the VHS tape that you watched 20 years ago, do you? No. And in fact, detective, you do not know. Well, let me ask it to you in a different way. When you were in the government, when you were with the government and they gave you this disc to look at, did they ever show you the actual VHS tape from Derogators? No. Did they ever give you an opportunity to look at the VHS tape and say, yes, that's the tape I got from Jim Derogators? No. So as you sat here today, detective, the real tape that actually came from Jim Derogators some 20 years ago, you don't know where that one is, do you? I don't know. Oh, okay. And in your meetings with the government to prepare you for your testimony, they were never able to show you any such video cassette, were they? No. Okay. Now I'll talk to you a little bit more about some of your interaction with the family of this individual that we're calling Jane for our purposes here in court. Jane to y'all is the girl that allegedly got peed on in the video. If y'all want to put her name in the comments, y'all can. I can't say her name. It says Jane here. But everybody knows that's the girl from the video, Sparkle's niece. Okay, now I'll talk to you a little bit more about some of your interactions with the family of this individual we're calling Jane for our purposes here in court. So what happened was, as I understood it, you got an anonymous tip, right? Anonymous call was made. Yes. Okay. And what that means is somebody called and made an allegation about Mr. Kelly and some underage girl. But the person who called didn't want to leave their name, right? Right. Okay. So based on this nameless allegation, you did your job, which was to go out and find out if there was anything to it, right? Yes. And what you do in a situation, and what do you do in a situation like that is you try to speak to the minor in question and the minor's family if you can, right? That is correct. All right. And so did you do that very thing, right? Yes. The first time you did you say it was when in 99 or 2000? 2000. December of 2000, right? Correct. Okay. So you went to the home of the minor, Jane, right? No. You met them somewhere else? Yes. Okay. Wherever you met them in December of 2000, you asked her specifically whether there was any kind of inappropriate relationship between her and the musical artist Robert Kelly, right? I did. Okay. And she said in several different forms, no, right? That is correct. She denied it completely, right? That is correct. Her mother and father, as I think I understood you, they were also present, right? Yes, they were. And the mother also denied it, right? Yes. The father also denied it, right? Yes. And so, as a law enforcement officer, listening to what they had to say, you had to find that it was unfounded, right? Yes. Because the information you had based on what they told you led you to believe that there was nothing to it, right? There was no evidence to substantiate a crime. Okay. So then there was a second instance where you went back again. Is that right? You talked to her a second time. No, you did not. No, we were unable to locate her. Okay. So there was a period of time where you were trying to find her, but she was out of town or you couldn't locate her, right? We could not locate her. Now, in fact, in March of 2002, later on, you know that the investigator, reporting investigators, did talk to her again, right? On that particular date, there were interviews done. I didn't speak to Jane, though. Oh, so you did not. I did not. But you know from your participation in this investigation that in March 2002, Jane, mom, and dad again denied it all, right? Yes. Okay. They denied that it was her or could be her on this video that came from Jim Recognize. Is that right? They did. Yes. Y'all see this? The parents is saying it's not true to the police. The girl is saying it's not true to the police. So who made this anonymous call? Was it allegedly Sparkle? Mad? I can't believe nothing Sparkle say because, well, I ain't gonna say nothing, but it's hard for me to believe Sparkle because she keep denying that she had an intimate relationship with R. Kelly, and her ex-husband done put her out there and said that's why they broke up because she ran off with R. Kelly. So allegedly, she could have made that phone call. Who knows? It would have to be somebody that's close to the girl family to know that she was even working with him or around him or anything. Okay, at this time, Your Honor, I have no further questions for Detective Everett. The court, Mrs. Bonjean? Yes, Your Honor. I have a few. So, this is Ms. Bonjean. Cross-examination on the detective. Good morning, detective. Good morning. When you were working this investigation, you were working with the Chicago Police Department. Am I correct? Yes, I was. You were a Chicago police detective, correct? That is correct. You weren't a federal agent, correct? No, I was not. You were not working on behalf of the federal jurors and any federal jurisdiction, correct? I was not. Yes. Now you testified that on October 24th in 2000, you or I guess a colleague received this anonymous complaint that you just mentioned under cross-examination by Mr. Brindley that informed you of information that Mr. Kelly may be having this inappropriate, unlawful relationship with a minor, right? Yes. And after that, the anonymous caller sent you some documents. Didn't they or didn't she? I'm sorry? The anonymous caller sent you some documents. Yes. Didn't she? One of those documents was a report prepared by DCFS, right? I don't recall that. When anything refresh your recollection, I recall receiving documents, but not a report from DCFS. Oh, it might have been Drea. Okay, how about a report by you? Would that refresh your recollection? It would. Judge, I'm going to ask to show only the witness. You may. Defense Exhibit 315 for identification purposes only. Do we need to switch the input? What computer are you using? Is Defense PC1? Is it on the video or board? Ah, I got it. Judge, I got it, Judge. It says no signal for our computer. I have it. It's fine. Judge, may I approach? I don't have to ask. You need to ask permission to approach. Just give it to him and let's go. Wait, I said that wrong. I have it. It's fine. Judge, may I approach? I don't have to ask. You don't need to ask permission to approach. Just give it to him and let's go. Jennifer's a little spicy. Detective, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this report, and particularly the second paragraph, if you would, and let me know when you're finished reviewing it. Okay, I'm familiar with this. Oh, okay. Does it refresh your recollection? Yes. All right. What is DCFS, detective? DCFS is Department of Children and Family Services, mandate to investigate allegations of child abuse. And the DCFS complaint was made on April 17th, 2000, in the connection with Jane. Isn't that correct? Yes. Oh, okay. That would be before you were assigned to investigate on October 24th, 2000, right? I don't believe it was before. It was, I believe it was after. Well, April, it was on 24th of October. That's when you got involved. But the DCFS investigation was in April of 2000. That would be before, right? Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. And the complaint was that that was lodged at DCFS was actually made against or was included made against the parents of Jane. Isn't that right? According to this, yes. And their names were Susan and Brandon. Is that what word Brandon? Okay. When I say Susan and Brandon, do you know who I'm speaking about? No. Okay. Well, if the government isn't going to tell their witness the pseudonyms, it's going to make it a little difficult. You can't ask if they're minors' parent. You can ask if they're the minors' parents. You're talking about, I don't know, are these the parents? Yes. Okay, if I call them Susan and Brandon, will you understand that I'm talking about the parents of Jane? Okay, yes. All right, fine. Okay. And this DSFS complaint was lodged against Susan and Brandon, was a complaint that they were knowingly allowing their daughter to engage in a sexual relationship with her 33-year-old boyfriend. That was a complaint. That was the complaint, correct? That's what I believe. But I was not a member of DCFS. I'm not sure what their exact intentions were. That's not what we're asking. That's not what I'm asking. You became aware of allegations that was lodged against the parents in April of 2000, right? Yes, I did. And it was after the allegations in October when you interviewed Jane, right? Yes. And you also interviewed the parents, Susan and Brandon, right? I did. Now, did you call them up and say, I'd like to interview you? Or did you just show up? And how did the interview come about? I believe I called them. I mean, it was our policy to arrange interviews, make an appointment. And I believe we called them. I'm not absolutely certain, though. And when you raised this issue with them, they weren't shocked that you were inquiring about this, right? No. And you found them uncooperative. Is that correct? Yes. And Susan and Brandon told you that it had already been investigated by DCFS and was unfounded, correct? Yes. They said it's been investigated. And you also concluded it was unfounded, right? Yes. Man, they need to let R. Kelly out, yo. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Did you conduct any other investigation after that? At some point, we did, yes. Did you speak to Stephanie Edwards or someone known as Sparkle? Yes. Did you do that before you unfounded the allegation or after you unfounded the allegation? That was after I unfounded this allegation. So if the parents and everybody said that it wasn't true and the girl said it wasn't true, why are you going to talk to Sparkle again? And why are you going to talk to Sparkle? Because she allegedly made the anonymous call. Why are you talking to her? Yo, this is crazy, dog. This is crazy, dog. I'm not going to say R. Kelly ain't got a fetish for young girls. I'm not going to say that because of what this girl age is. But the same thing with the fucking Clary girl. It is consensual and the parents is giving consent. How are the parents not going to jail? Niggas don't lock up the crackheads, they lock up the crack dealers. How is these parents out here serving their kids to people and not go to jail, yo. They need to be in there with him. Did you speak to Stephanie Edwards or someone known as Sparkle? Yes. Did you do that before you unfounded the allegations? Because that's when it was time to talk to her before you found out the shit wasn't true. A part of the investigation, you should have been talking to her. Not after everybody say it ain't true. Like, why are you talking about her now? Talk like that's the setup, yo. Did you do that before you unfounded the allegation or after you unfounded the allegation? That was after I unfounded this investigation. Okay. So I want to focus on what you did before you unfounded this allegation. Okay. Does that make sense? Okay. Before we unfounded this investigation, there was very little, if any, contact with anybody. I understand. And I'm going to ask you about that. Okay. Did you speak to Sparkle before you unfounded this investigation? Not before I unfounded this investigation. No. Okay. Did you try to interview Mr. Kelly before you unfounded this investigation? No. So somebody's making allegations on R. Kelly, and you go speak to all these people, and you don't go speak to the person that's supposed to did it? Man, did you do any investigation other than talking to Jane and the parents prior to unfounding this allegation? No. Yeah, R. Kelly, he might beat this one. Did you make a note anywhere in your records, as far as you know, in which you indicate that you had suspicions or you didn't believe the parents or anything of that nature? I did not. And it's fair to say that before you unfounded the allegation, it was a single interview with Jane and her parents, correct? Correct. How long did that interview last, by the way? Approximately a half hour, 45 minutes. Okay, now fast forward to February 1st, 2002-ish. This is when you come into possession of a video that was provided by a reporter, right? Yes. And this is the video you have no idea where it's at, right? I don't. And this is a video you haven't looked at, correct? Recently, anyway? No. Now, are you able to tell us where it's at right now? I'm sorry. Are you able to tell us where the particular video is right now? I don't know where it is. Did you put your initials in it? Are you talking about the disc or the VHS tape? The VHS tape you got from Mr. Duragas. Did you inscribe your initials into it? I did. Do you know where the videotape is? I inventoried it back then with the Chicago Police Department. Where it is today, I don't know. Have you seen any videotape with your initials inscribed in it? No. Since you were interviewed by the U.S. Attorney's Office, for instance, no. You didn't interview the parents on March 15th, 2002, correct? Yes. And again, they showed up with the lawyers. Is that right? Yes. You didn't actually get an interview with Jane because they had a lawyer there, right? We had a social worker that we were planning on having interview Jane, But she wasn't interviewed, right? No, not to my knowledge. And after that, in fact, the only time you interviewed Jane was on February 1st when you went to the shoe store in Oak Park, right? Was it a shoe store? Yes. It was a shoe store they owned. I believe so. So that was the one and only time you ever spoke to Jane. Am I right about that? Yes. Okay. Now, during the course of your investigation, you came into possession of other videotapes that depicted Mr. Kelly and sexual partners, right? Yes. Okay. And you concluded that these were adult sexual partners, correct? Yes. Now, a lot of lines got blacked out. I don't know why. But court proceed. All right. Okay, investigator or detective, I'm going to have to show you a police report. And I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to draw your attention to a portion of it so you'll know who I'm talking about. Okay. But I'm not going to use the name associated. Okay. If that makes sense. Did you ever find his name, his report on the monitor so we don't have to? Judge, we're working on that now. All right. Is that the report he has, or is there another report? It's a different report. Okay. Show him the report. Okay. It's a long report. I just want to show him the exact paragraph. Yes, go ahead. Okay, detective. I'm going to show you a report. It's a 19-page document. Yes. And if you can just look at it and generally without telling anybody what's in it, can you identify what it is? The question is what it is. Jennifer, do you know what it is? Yes. Okay. What is it? Just generally. It's my supplementary report, police report. Okay. It's a police report, right? Yes. Now, I would like to draw your attention specifically to, well, first of all, page 13 of 18 of this police report. Page 13, 13 of 18. Okay. And I'm going to have you look at, it's right in the middle of the page. It's the second full paragraph. It starts with April 16th, 2002. All right. On what page are you looking at? 13 of 18. 13 and 18? No. 13 of 18. They had it on the monitor a minute ago. Can you give me those dates again? Just look at page 13 of your police report, sir. Why don't you just show it to him? I am looking at page 13. Okay. April 16, 2002 is the second full paragraph. Mrs. Bonjean, why don't you just get it to him for him? Okay. And just point it out to him so you know what you're talking about. So that we can. I don't see April 16th. It's also on the monitor now. Do you have it? Okay. Okay. Now do you see it? I see it now. Okay. On April 16, 2002, you had the opportunity to speak to, well, first let me show you in the last sentence. There we go. There we go. All right. In the last sentence, there's a person name that begins, well, I'm not going to even say what it begins with. Do you see a person's name at the first word in the last sentence? I do. Okay. If I'm going to call her Pinky. All right. Okay. All right. Now, April 16th, did you have an opportunity to speak to Pinky's mother? I did. And did you understand Pinky to be James' friend? I did. And you also had the opportunity to speak with Pinky. Isn't that right? Yes. Okay. And Pinky did not tell you about any sexual activity she had, excuse me, with Mr. R. Kelly, did she? Objection, that's called for hearsay. It's the opposite of hearsay. I don't believe it would be. What she didn't do is not hearsay. So, Mr. Julian, you're asking about a conversation that a person had with Detective Everett, Your Honor. Well, it depends on what's in the conversation. Well, anyway, let's proceed. Go ahead, Ms. Bonji. Well, Judge, I prefer not to have to call him back. So, and Pinky is going to testify. So I'll do it that way. However, the court wants me to proceed. I'll do it that way, or however the court wants me to proceed. He can answer the question. Okay. Right. That's all I'm asking. Yeah. All right. So, okay. Okay. So Pinky did not tell you she had a sexual relationship with Mr. Kelly, right? According to this document, this paragraph, no. And you had the opportunity to actually interview Pinky another time. Do you remember that? I did. Okay. And at no point did Pinky ever tell you that she had a sexual relationship with Mr. Kelly, did she? I would have to review my report for the other conversation. Okay. Well, we will be able to get that up for you too. Let's look at page. Give me 1 second. Do you remember interviewing her a second time? I do. You think you would remember if she told you she had a sexual relationship with Mr. Kelly? I cannot recall without reviewing my police report. Okay. Did you open up an investigation into any allegations of sexual relationship with Mr. Kelly as a result of Pinky's allegations? No, I did not. And if she had told you that she was having sex as an underage person with Mr. Kelly, you think you might have opened up an investigation about that? If who had sex with Mr. Kelly? Pinky. Of course I would have. Yes. And you didn't do that though, right? No. So then clearly she didn't tell you that. You ain't got to look at your report, nigga. Anyway, I'm going to ask you to look at the screen. I don't think it's, and when you're done reading that paragraph, will you let me know? Okay. The court, the purpose is for refreshing his recollection. Right. Okay. Let me know when you finish, detective. I will. Just to clear the record, this is being admitted not for the truth, but on what caused him to do or not to do something. I'm finished reading it. Okay. Detective, do you remember doing some investigation about another videotape that there was some concerns that included images of Pinky? No, I don't recall that. Okay. Does this refresh your recollection of doing that investigation? No. And at no point did Pinky, well, does this refresh your recollection about whether Pinky and her mother were shown images from another videotape? Yes. Okay. Does it refresh your recollection that Pinky and her mother denied Pinky was involved with any video recorded activities that were portrayed on this videotape, right? That is correct. All right. You can take that down. Is that it? It is, Your Honor. Ms. Judge, do you wish to ask questions? Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Judge. Ms. Judge, I guess this is the prosecution. When you testified, you talked about Mr. Kelly's residence located at 1010 George Street. Do you remember that? Yes, I did. and you were shown photographs of that residence. Yes. Can you tell us, did you go to each floor, each level of that house when you visited? I do not recall if I went to each floor. I know I went to more than one level of the house. Can you tell the jurors how many levels were in the house? I don't recall that. At least a minimum or two. Do you remember if it was a large or small house? It was mid-size, I would say. Do you know how many square feet? I have no idea. You talked earlier about receiving a videotape from sometimes reported Jim DeRogatis, correct? Yes. Can you describe how that took place? Not like physically. Did you physically get that tape from Jim DeRogatis? Yes. I was assigned to the special. I was assigned to the special investigators unit, and our commanding officer contacted myself and my partner and informed us that he had received a phone call from Jim DeRogatis of the Sun's Time, who was given a VHS tape by. It was dropped off. It was an anonymous person who dropped it off. We then went to the Chicago Sun-Times and met with Mr. DeRogatis, who turned the tape over to us. So Jim DeRogatis was in possession of the tape, and he handed it to you, correct? Yes, yes. Thank you. Throughout this investigation, despite the fact that Mr. DeRogatis was in possession of the tape, you never started an investigation or arrested Jim DeRogatis for possessing child pornography, correct? I did not. You've looked at it today, a couple of reports that you were written in preparation or throughout your investigation, correct? Yes, I did. Do you recall how many reports you wrote about this case? Not exactly, no. It was quite a few. Quite a few. And it was quite a few years ago, too. So I now am asking you, but I know I'm asking you, but you understand the purpose of writing reports for investigations that you conduct, right? Absolutely, yes. And you understand that the purpose of it is because those reports are going to be used sometimes in a situation like this where someone is on trial. Yes, possibly could be, yes. And those reports are going to be shared with prosecutors. If there was a prosecutor who pursues a case, yes. And then those reports are also oftentimes come to the defense. Yes. And were used in a case just like they were this morning, correct? Yes. Do you remember how many employees of R. Kelly you interviewed, if any? I would say none. Did you learn any employees of R. Kelly during your investigation? Yes. We were given names of various employees by other witnesses that informed us they worked for Robert Kelly. Was one of those witnesses named Cheryl Cobb? I'm sorry? Was one of the employees named Cheryl Cobb? Yes, it was. And how about an employee named Camille? Yes. Do you remember what Camille's job was? No, I don't. What was the last, if you recall, when did you stop this investigation, or when were you last involved in this investigation? After Robert Kelly was arrested. In what year? Oh, 2002. Thank you. I have no further questions. Redirect any? No, Your Honor. May the witness be excused. You can step down. Thank you. Call your next witness, please.